Crossroads channel of light fluid. Welcome back to Finite Space, and we're on the latest build, and things are going to get, shall we say, more interesting for Corwan and the rest. Let's see how it goes. When we get to the training room, Aegis is far less jovial than they were the day before. After a curt greeting, they get us into the training without any banter. We spend the time mostly dealing with situations where we could end up outside a vessel, loose and adrift. From coordinated search and rescue to otter-style raft assemblies, we practice how to survive and clump together to make eventual collection easier. The Aegis system has a fairly large connection range, along with a dropship nearby, but it isn't infinite. Preventing ourselves from drifting too far means that, even untethered and out of combat, we still contribute to the effort our knights would be putting in the fight. The practice from yesterday certainly helped. Our pack manages to complete most manoeuvres with minimal losses. The other pack showed that they studied the playbacks. Jay's is brutal, making us do the drills over and over with various different scenarios, each more dire than the next. After we finish, there's still no time to relax as Jays informs us they'll be travelling back to Osid via Squire pod. They're capsules that safely carry an individual from space to planetside rapidly. Although many facilities and other systems that operate in orbit have them, they coined the name from their much more frequent use by KAU to deploy squires during plague engagements. It takes us some time to travel into the depths of Belvos, past other knights of all divisions. There's definitely a more engaged atmosphere given the alert status. Shouts and orders are fired back and forth between knights as we filter through, led by Jays. Eventually we reach a bank of doors. Behind each door is a pod that we all use. Jays goes over the safety guidelines, what to expect, and the G-forces will endure, even with the compensators within. We all take it seriously. It might be fully automated, we still have to be prepared to intervene should the need arise. Open a pod, Jay shows us the straps will secure us. Looks ample for most. Of course they're built to accommodate the larger sizes, with some exceptions. Can't imagine Cyrox would fit into one of these without some straining. We all take our positions before we step inside. Jays goes down the line, correcting a few in their harnesses. You all are good here. Something new for you. My little podlings here are going to take good care of you, Enjoy the wild ride, eh? They comment after checking my pod, their hands reaching and testing everything from various angles. It's a marvel how they operate it all at once. They move on just as fast. The last few pods are checked and dealt with before, with a clap, they move to stand far enough away that we can all see them clearly. Okay, all that good work and all that shit. Pat, pat, praise, praise. I'm done with you all for now, so time to flush you. They flash us a toothy grin. Don't worry, I've been monitoring you all on the way down. And I will make any who gives the insides of my pods a new coat of paint extra demerits and more cleaning duty. So no hurling. Got it? Yes, Captain. Most of the town be shooting at planet sites that grown-ups engage the plague head on their gorgeous steeds. After you splat down, be prepared to assist any resident and also engage any plague that slips through. Depending on how fast they've started filling their bellies, your knights will land as well or provide aerial aid. For now though, just enjoy the fall. Bye-bye, kiddies. With another grin, each of our pod doors close, and then silence surrounds me. I stare through the window at Jays as they observe a few hollow windows, and then, seemingly satisfied, they wave. We fall. Shot is more how it feels as the station releases our pods. We hurtle towards the planet below. The air resistance hits as my pod enters the atmosphere, causing vibrations to rock the capsule. I can feel my very bones shuddering as I hurtle down at insane speeds. The odd thing is, even as my heart races, I'm exhilarated. Nothing I had thought about or trained for prepared me for this. It's terrifying and awesome all in one. The pod slows automatic after a while. Looking out at the Osid forest right as he's into view as my vessel makes adjustments during the approach. The other pods are right with me. I have the briefest glimpse of a few faces peeking out. There's not much time to comprehend them as the ground rushes up to meet us. Well, that was something. Though the impact rattles me, the actual force of it is expertly cushioned and dissipates to the point it doesn't impede me. I go through the steps taught to check the exterior before releasing the doors. Across from me, Zaria strokes Alex's back as she laughs. He leans against the outer pod shell, drooping. I face, Alex. I can't. Oh, my stars. There. You're all right. You're all right. I am more than all right. It'd be a damn sight better if you're not guffawing right in my ringing ears. It's certainly not helping. He vomits onto the grass, and Zaria begins rubbing his back again, trying to muffle his sniggers. The other nearby pods are almost all open, and the state of the passengers is mixed. Many seem to have taken it well, though there are more than a few looking quite nauseous. Eric ambles over, looking fine. Well, I guess the training he's been through helped. Everyone good? Oh, Alex, are you okay? Alex gives a half-hearted thumbs up. Eric's concern melts somewhat. I remember throwing up so much the first dozen times. The pods do a lot to take most of the brunt. That's nothing. Really, I hope you all do better next time. Groot is leaning on the tree, looking nonchalant. His confidence is only betrayed by the tremble in his legs. We are brought to attention by the clapping and call coming from a place just north of our impact zones. Alright, that seems to be everyone. Max, check on your packmates first and foremost. If everyone is fit and present, we'll head back to the facility. Calbeck stalks through the squires, stopping to check on a few of the queasier ones. His appraisals are fast and efficient. He comes to a natural stop close to our group, who all stand at attention. His ears flick once as he looks us over. He then points out to the woods, towards the main complex. Okay, jog back if you can. Walk if not. Training room is allocated. You're all expected to be ready to start by the time I get there. March! With the last bark, many jump and then start moving over tree roots or helping weather through the woods. A few tear ahead, Zaria included. Calbeck's had mentioned sticking in pack formation, so I guess it's okay. He's lingering back. I imagine he's given us a head start. Eric supports Alex as they start heading off as well. Eric looks back at me to see if I'm coming, but I shake my head and stay behind instead. My knight doesn't tell me to run off, so I wait for him. We stand awkwardly as he counts down using his stick. Once he finishes, we start to move slowly after everyone. I step into an easy pace alongside him. He looks to be thinking, though it's clear he's quite comfortable in the woodlands. He barely even slows as he manoeuvres over and around the vegetation. I decide to finally break the silence. So, we're on active duty now then. Calbeck doesn't slow his stride, but his left ear flicks and I can detect the faintest bristling of his fur. Yes, that is correct. Fortunately, Raptor did not sustain any fatalities and they're already at the medical centre. They will be operational again within a short time. He growls under his breath. I think it is still too soon, but the commander is deemed as capable enough to be on standby until they are recovered. If we are fortunate, there will not be an incursion. He catches me staring with a quick turn of the head, and interrupts his growling with a cough. However, we cannot afford to be unprepared. We will have to speed up the training. I was not supposed to be on the roster today, unlike Tobbs was. Stooping beneath a low branch, he gestures to the forest around us. The whole dropped on a wild world survival thing. Cannon is rather fond of camp and is in quite a sour mood when things were rearranged. He'll bounce back, in his own way. However, He grimaces as he stoops below another branch. He clears the final few trees and then steps into the cut grass that surrounds the KAU complex. He stops and turns to watch me come out of the shade as well. Ben has ordered all our squires need to be assessed, so I've slotted in today instead. As I blink from sudden brightness, he averts his eyes. He turns his head to look at the building ahead of us while muttering, just loud enough to hear. Honestly, I haven't been looking forward to doing this. Being thrust into it before I've geared myself up to it is throwing me off. He huffs. I see now there's never any threat of Calvex beating the squires to the room. I have no doubt he could have if he'd been inclined. Instead, he opted to send them ahead to give not only the squires time to prepare, but himself as well. Oh, I see. Well, I am your squire, so... That is to say, if you'd like to... Feel free to use me to break the ice. I guess I should have asked what we're doing first. Calvex actually chuckles and then smiles at me. His smiles are rare enough that I'm starting to truly treasure when one slips out. So, you offer yourself as a sacrifice while knowing the task? I could mark you down for poor judgment, my squire. Just as fast as his grin appeared, it vanishes as Calvex stiffly starts moving towards the complex. It'll be ground combat assessments. As a master of arms, I am the most suitable to start the process of guiding squires to the weapons and fighting styles most suited their unique qualities. He huffs again. This is the first time I've seen him so grumpy. Solemn, sure. Angry, yes. I've yet to see him sulk like this. It makes him appear younger than he is. I try to think back to my research on him after being assigned. One of his decorations was Knight at Arms. I've yet to see him in action, and I'm even more excited to witness his prowess. Do you have a preferred armament? I picture him weaving across the battlefield clad in armour, mowing down plague drones as he goes. Calvex, however, doesn't reply. He continues walking towards the front entrance. I've grown used to his silences now. Eventually he does speak. To be honest, I've not given it much thought. If we engage in close combat, it means the swarm has been able to set roots long enough to set up larger harvesting operations. The cavalry's main aim is to prevent that. We are to attempt reported incursions as fast as possible, and force them back before they have a chance to deploy that level of fortification. A pretty standard answer, almost word for word from the KAU Creed for the Cavalry Division. I guess even seasoned knights recall those lessons verbatim. We've been fortunate in recent years to not have to contend with such an event. Not since... He trails off and I know what he isn't saying. Foro. Foro was the last time the plague had been able to establish themselves long enough that by the time the KAU finally arrived, they had to contend with a fully occupied plague threat. Calvex continues awkwardly. As I was saying, since each potential engagement could be different, I never thought about a favourite. But I guess I lean towards sword and shield. Standard, sure, but it offers good coverage, and with this... He gestures to his left eye inside. I feel more comfortable using a shield. How about you, Corwan? Any thoughts ahead of the session? He looks over curiously, as if he really is considering my size and build for the first time. I try not to fidget as I answer him. Well, unless there's a rockball bat as an option, I'm not sure. Our page training focused on swords. I've not had that much experience with anything else. We can work on the foundation and evolve from there. What on oath is rockball, though? He tilts his head to the left quizzically. His confusion is so adorable I almost burst out laughing. Calvex. It's just a game we used to play as pages. We'd use any length of pipe or tube we could find and hit rocks as far as possible. Sounds dumb explaining it, but we made it fun. I trail off, but Calvex keeps his head tilted as he considers. I see. I am certain that you made it fun. You may even be able to use those skills for combat, in some means. He looks away, and I realize we're at the entrance. I was so taken with talking I hadn't noticed. Everyone is likely inside by now. Let us join them. Calvex nods his head towards the doors. I return his nod, and then we march in, side by side. As we enter the room, the chatter dies down. I scuttle into formation with my pack as Calbex walks around into the front. The room has the weapons display and padded mats out again. I stand a little straighter, determined I will show myself in a better light than last time with Brute. Calbex walks by the weapons cache, eyeing the variety within before turning to face us. You should have all received communication earlier in regards to the recent plague incursion. Some of you are now officially on active duty as well. I notice his cybernetic eye flickering, a motion I've come to recognise as him reading directly from his stick. Does he have a script? This is emergency response duty, and those not selected are no less important. Commander Fenn chose the packs whose knights have worked with Talon before, and can operate efficiently with minimum adjustments. His other eye looks over a few of us. I think he's checking out the squires now making up the unit, but he doesn't waver from his spiel. To that end, all active packs are going to be assessed individually by Commander Fenn for proper clearance to the field after this session. A necessary formality. Do not worry. I certainly do feel worried. Me and Fenn, alone in a room? That'll just be a nightmare. In fact, I feel like I've had that exact dream already. Calbex tilts his head to the left, his cybernetic eye glows, and then the cache case is open. Before that, that is to say, I have been chosen to see what style of weapon befits you all. We won't be going over any specifics today. Take a weapon, go through some drills, and I'll come around and assess. Looking awkward at the end of his speech, Calbex strides to the edge of the room and then waits. The abruptness of it leaves the room slightly unsure what to do, so I take the point. I move towards the cases first, followed shortly by everyone else. First pick. What shall I even choose? The options available are so robust I'm having some decision paralysis. Brood reaches around me and takes out a long-handled axe, sighing. Fuck's sake, just pick something. There's the Brute I've come to know and detest. The time we had on Belbos was obviously a fever dream. He is right, others are starting to grab weapons. Remembering what Calbex said, I tentatively grab a sword and shield, lifting them off of their hooks. The shield is way heavier than I thought it would be without any heavy tech coursing through it. It's broad and covers the entirety of my torso and I hold it level. The sword is just barely longer than my arm. The balance is perfect, though it also feels a bit heavier than I'd like. Moving away from the cases, I register them to my stick. Immediately they start to calibrate to me. As I look around, most squires are already taking their positions and making some test swings. I'm reminded the Brute manually adjusted his firearm the other day. Tweaking and fine-tuning the configurations becomes its own headache. After a few minutes of fiddling, I can't even remember what it should feel like. I need a paw there? I almost yelp as I jolt. I hadn't noticed his approach. He looks equally embarrassed as a few nearby squires chuckle. Cautiously he takes a look at my poor armaments. These seem off. This should be heavier here, and the balance here is off. Try now. I take them back from him and feel the heft. They seem much better now, not dragging my arms down. Calbex nods and watches as I get the feel for them and take some swings. Widen your stance. Put your right foot forward when you swing, then step back to bring the shield up. Again. I try to follow his directions. After a few minutes he seems satisfied with my attempts and then moves on. A cursory glance around the room at the others. It's clear that a fair few squires are wielding preferred weapons, rather than anything new. There are some that are stepping out of their comfort zones, given the puzzled and exasperated expressions. Calbex wanders between us, giving hints and tips. A stance change here, swinging motions there, an entire weapon change over there. He doesn't linger. His advice is solid from what I can hear, but there's not much direction this training session besides doing basic page swings and sets. Saria looks almost zen, completely opposite to the discomfort she showed in the shooting session. She has a pair of tonfas and emotions look so practiced. She's obviously spent years training hand to hand. Alex is trying out a trident. His stabs and thrusts are vicious, though nothing is as graceful as I've grown accustomed to seeing from him. Eric stands just off to Alex's side, swinging his usual sword with those strong, intense swings. Brute is, however, in a space all to himself. His overly aggressive wide chops with his axe, coupled with snarls to the point of slobber, enough to make everyone give him a wide berth. Calbeck steps in as Brute thrashes the blade mid-flurry and catches the shaft in his right paw, halting him from continuing the berserker-like attack. Wild swings like these will hurt your ally's ability to fight. Temper your ferocity, deliver that power to each swing instead. Even where I stand, I can see Brute straining to yank the axe back. Eventually, Calbex allows the younger wolf to do so, as Brute looks up at him with a pointed stare. Maybe, sir, it'd be more useful to actually hit something. Get a feel for it, right? Maybe you could spar with me and help me learn what not to do. I'd never heard Brute address a knight like that, even when he doesn't agree. The tension in the room could be cut by a knife. Everyone has stopped to watch. You have your assessment shortly, and you cannot risk demerit due to fatigue from this session. So no, Squire, you will not be sparring here. Continue, everyone. Calvex walks away and the tension snaps. The room goes back into the swing of things, punctuated with loud grunts of effort. I try to focus on getting my footwork down. The sword still feels clunky. I'm not sure whether I'm just not getting the attraction to this, or if it's too new and odd. The rather tepid atmosphere of the session goes on for a while. Eventually, Calbex leads us through a set of cooldown stretches, making sure we're all loosened up for the assessment. I can't tell if he's annoyed this training was overtaken by Fenn's demands, or if he really struggles with this. He did take notes on his stick throughout, and make a mental memo to ask about it later. It is not long until the first squire is called. A wave of anxiety ripples through the room. Calbex did say that Fenn put more emphasis on the knights in pack formations. Will this be more of a formality, or are we about to be put through the ringer? It's Fenn. It's the ringer. Hell, I should ask Brute if he doesn't have his home decked out in torture equipment. I look at Brute. He's pacing and gearing himself up. Scratch that. Brute would probably endorse the equipment if not offered to buy some himself if the commander was lacking. When Brute is called, he jolts, then marches out with haste. None of the others who were called for assessment have returned, so the number in the room dwindles. My stick goes off and it's my time to jump. Taking a breath, I head out the door and follow the lit path to a room down the corridor. Brute exits as I approach, the door sliding closed behind him. He looks pleased for a beat, for he sees me and then scowls. Better make some fucking effort and then not let the pack down. He spits out. He's standing in my way and crosses his arms as he glares down at me. Move aside, Brute. I don't have any intention of doing less than my best, as always. I try to get around him, but he moves quickly and grabs my right arm, shaking me as he leans in close to my face. Listen, prick, do better than your best. We get a chance to fight actual fucking plague, not having dead weight ruin that. He growls even as I push him back. His grip lingers for a moment before he lets me go. Bad enough we have the washed-out knight. Pair with you, you're both the weak link. Do not make Commander Fenn rethink this. With that, he turns and then prowls down the corridor. I see red. What an absolutely arrogant, spiteful prick. I want to yell at him. I'm mid-turn to chase after him. The door opens and a commanding voice stops him in my tracks. Come! I see after Brute he rounds the corner and disappears out of view. I grip my teeth. Come! I face the room as he shouts and then walk in. Blood is pounding in my ears. It's another training room. It's been set up with a dummy, arranged with a wolf pack and some other systems. Dominating the room behind a desk and stare at me intently is Commander Fenn. I walk into the centre and stand to attention. Fenn looks me over, a single claw tapping on the desk over and over again. Eventually he pulls up a hollow screen and looks over it. He certainly knows how to make someone nervous without saying anything. I remain still. My mind is still boiling with rage at his squire's comments. Insulting me is one thing, but Calbex? It's not even the fact he's my knight. Calbex has clearly fought hard to get back to duty. Brute doesn't know anything and still passing him off as a has-been. To make matters worse, I'm weakly angry with myself that I had similar doubts. Still, Brute had no right to say all. Corwan, Stringer. I snap out of it as Fenn finally addresses me. He slides his stick to the left, the screen still hovering nearby. Then places his paws firmly on the top of the desk and then stands, pushing off of it as he does. His tone sounds more contemplative than questioning, so I remain silent. His eyes crawl over me again before flicking back to the screen. Survivor of the Foro incident? Even I can't fathom the sick humour of the higher-ups of the decisions, but I guess we make do, right? Yes, sir? I'm not entirely sure what he's getting at. Lost a lot of people in that siege. Good knights, passable squires, plenty of civilians. Lots and lots of losses. Fenn speaks low with that rumble to his voice that makes everything sound like a threat. I keep my focus forward as he circles me once before returning to his place behind the desk. Great, sir. Well, given what you had to work with, remarkable. But remarkable mediocrity is still less than my standards. His eyes swap from the screen to me. I'm starting to feel more and more like a piece of meat. Still, I imagine lots of rage in there, lots of anger. That right, Squire? Yes, sir. Fenn gestures the layout of the room. Then prove it, Squire. Show to me you burn with a bloodlust worthy of the battlefield. I moved to the training dummy and then grabbed the sword resting against it. It's still warm, likely from Brute's assessment. That stuck-up twat. I start my attacks against the dummy. It may have been modelled after a plague entity, but in my mind I'm picturing the demeaning wolf in its place. I strike again and again. More! The commander barks at me and I crease my strikes, slipping the sword into heavy and forcing enhanced strikes to land as cleanly as I can before turning off to angle for the next. More! I grip my teeth, the heavy strikes ricochet through me. I swear my bones feel like they'll shatter. I follow the command and strike harder, as fast as my body will allow. Right, next! Fenn points to the next section and the awaiting wolf pack. I move over, panting. The momentary rage I had towards Brute flickers out with the throbbing in my arm now more insistent. Damn, overexerted myself already. I fumble to pick up the firearm. I look down the sights, ready to fire. In a few moments before the commander gives me the clear, I gulp down a breath and try to center myself. Clear! Fire! The shots aren't clean. My numb arm has trouble keeping the muzzle steady. I switch a light to my next volley, taking advantage of the lack of kickback to nudge myself back on course. I still think I'm far more sloppy than when I was on the range with Cyrox. Finish it off! Now! I steady my legs and clamp down, knowing this will hurt. I flick the heavy and shoot a burst. My shoulder is screaming, but at least I hit the target. I definitely could have done better, but also a lot worse. I set the wolf pack down as carefully. Right, next! No chance to catch my breath before I'm ushered to the next station. On and on it went. Fenn didn't give me a moment between any one activity but moving on to the next. Finally I stand in the centre of the room, drenched in sweat. The sadist of a commander is back in his seat. Poor steeples, he looks over his stick at my results. I felt like a piece of meat before. I can firmly say that I'm thoroughly tenderised. I stand at attention, trying to keep my laboured breaths as quiet as possible. Fenn looks over the holoscreen again before sighing and flicking it away. He directs all of his attention to me. I don't like being proven wrong. Luckily, I'm not. These are baseline results, if that. He gestures offhandedly, dismissively. Honestly, it doesn't matter to me how well you'd have done. After all, you have a bigger purpose, don't you? The wolf gets up and then walks around the desk to move towards me. He invades my space, standing so close I have to look up to meet his gaze. What is your primary duty, Squire? He growls out lowly like a whisper. His breath wafts over to me as he waits. To serve and protect the galaxy. Wrong! What is your duty? He bellows over me, the rumble enough to make me shudder involuntarily. I try to think about what he's after. I meant to stop the plague from... No! That's our job! What is yours? He goes from yelling to drawing out a growl in an instant. He looms over me. What does he want me to say? What does he think that I... Oh, yeah, I remember. I'm a battery, sir. I whisper. He grabs me by the left shoulder. What had become a dull throb now reignites sharply as I hiss in pain. Yes, Squire. You are a battery, a backup, a spare life. That is what you are above everything else. Which means the only thing I'm expecting, looking for in you is a decent pain threshold. He punctuates the last few words by pressing each digit one by one into my shoulder. The tips of his claws almost puncture my uniform. He leans down, bringing his face next to mine. Got that? You are no hero. On the battlefield, I wouldn't trust you to take down the smallest plague, let alone stop an advance. The only thing you have to do is stay out of the way of everyone else, and make sure you take all of Knight Auriga's pain, as he, led by me, takes them out. Got that? He pats my aching shoulder twice while stepping back, expecting an answer. There's only one answer I can give. Yes, sir. He looks satisfied enough. He signals the door to open with his stick as he finally looks away from me. Good. Now go get some rest. We'll be called to action soon. I have no doubt. Without a single glance at me, he pulls up a hollow screen, then signals the next squire. I force myself to march out instead of running. I make it down a few corridors if everything gets too overwhelming. I have to lean against the wall. I gasp for air, but it still feels like I'm choking, drowning. My legs are shaking. No, all of me is. I feel weak. My shoulder's pain throbs inside my heart, which seems to want to beat faster and faster. I pull up my shirt, loosen it with fumbling fingers. I just need some more air. Am I hyperventilating? Oh, fuck, I am. I try not to panic, torn between wanting to be discovered and offered help and not wanting anyone to see me like this. I can feel my face flush and tears stream down my cheeks as I struggle for a single breath. Just one. Just breathe, Corwan. Think of something. Choose a point. The corridor is bland, nothing of note, so I stare at the floor. 1 tile, 2, 5 across. How many rows? Okay, now take a breath. Hold it. Count. Let it out. Again. Slow. This will pass. It will. Phew, fuck. While concentrating on breathing, I'd slumped against the wall. I have to wait until I'll be much calmer before I stand up, still lightheaded. Fuck Fen and fuck Brute too. Both of them are assholes. I vent, but the thing what they both said is louder than my protesting shoulder. Just when I think things are on the turn for the better, they come and shove me back down. I'm not useless, and Calvex is way better than that psychopath. Fuck this. I need a shower, desperately, and that rest Fen orders me to take. With a very weary first step, I make my way back to Calvex's home. Calvex was still out when I made it in, giving me the much-needed time to decompress in the shower. I stand under the deluge for so long I'm starting to prune by the time I step out. I take time toweling off too, using deliberate and mundane actions to continue to ground me. Sit on my bed before I dress, I think through the last few days. I've been so emotionally charged. Far, far more than I thought it would be. Not that I ever expected an easy life here. I chose this. I chose this path to push myself to the front lines. Still, the emotional whiplash is worse than I thought it would be. I can't afford to let this stop me. In the hallway is one thing. This cannot happen in battle. At least I can manage the panic attacks now. Back when I started to have them, when we just arrived on the moon base, I didn't know what was happening, how to handle it. It's been years since the last attack. I have to figure out a way to stop the commander from getting to me. I swear he's a sadist through and through. Bet he rubbed one out after putting us all through as much pressure as he could. I sigh. Maybe in his own way he was testing us. Stress is part of the role, and cracking out is better than where it could get someone hurt. I won't do that. I can't. After getting dressed, I head downstairs and begin to prepare the evening meal for us both. Given our active duty status, the meal is now to contain a minimum threshold of specific nutrients based on what each species needs. which means I have to think of something that fulfills that requirement for both of us, or failing that, prepare two completely different meals. Fortunately, Paige trained us prepare a squire to be with a variety of catch-all meals that completes the quota for a majority of species. Calvex is lupine. Apart from higher protein needs and the tonic he takes, we do eat very similar foods. Today feels like a noodle day, with extra X, of course. After preparing the broth and additions, I get working on the dough. I'm deep into kneading it, taking out some of my frustrations, when I hear the door open, the sounds of Calvex returning. Oh, something smells good. He stands in the doorway and sniffs. He looks worn out too. He makes his way to the table and then sits down, practically slumping into the chair. "I won't be long, Calvex. Can I get you a drink?" Calvex shakes his head and then pulls out his flask. As he shakes it, the final segment is still lit with contents. He pulls it off and then starts to drink it down. I nod and continue to knead until the dough becomes smooth and I can let it rest while I finalise the last few items. Calvex sips as he pulls up a few hollow screens and starts working through them. He uses his left paw occasionally, remaining navigates using his eye, whizzing across the screens rapidly, making changes or notations to things. That looks like a lot. Both eyes lock onto me for a moment before he rubs his temples and nods. Yeah, I want to go through the data I collected from all while it's still fresh in my mind. Then I can start working on allocating the right arms for each squire and create tailored training plans. My mind goes back to the session, how I felt with the sword and shield, then later with Fen with just the sword and how they differed. I don't think that the sword, with or without the shield, is really... don't think I've gotten the hang of them yet. I keep my head down as I roll the dough into strips. It was good to have a task to focus on to avoid looking at Calvex. He appears to be too busy with the screens to focus on me fully. No, you haven't. Defensively, it's still a good option till we find what you naturally lean more towards. As standard, we assign it to all squires out of specialisation. That is another reason why I suggest it. Calvex finally puts away the screens and looks at me properly as I cut the dough into thin strands. He seems hesitant to go on, to the point they have the noodles in the pot of boiling water when he next speaks. How was the assessment? Did things get... His muzzle twitches as he struggles to form his question diplomatically. Did the commander conduct everything without incident? The steam's a welcome shroud of my expressions as I recall the commander's remarks vividly. He was thorough, yeah, and he passed me. Told me exactly what he wants from me. Sir, he's an insufferable asshole, to be honest, who could do with a good kicking. I hadn't really planned a vent about Fen, but it is done now. Silence stretches between us aside from the bubbling pots. Calvex snorts and then laughs openly as he slaps the table with his paw. Oh, that he is. No, I don't encourage you to speak those words outside of this house, if you value your life. Calvex regains his composure by finishing off his drink before continuing. Commander Fen is... well, he is complicated. Like all of us, he's seen a lot. He's fiercely protective. I agree he isn't the most agreeable wolf you'll meet, but he means well, even if he's very abrupt about it. I'm not sure I see it that way, especially with his words still stinging in my mind, but I'll drop it for now. Food is ready. I bring the steaming bowls over, placing Calvex's with all the extra portions in front of him. From the way his nose twitches as he sniffs, I think he'll like it. This is a treat. I wasn't expecting this sort of meal on active duty. Well done, Corwan. I try to resist the urge to grin, and fail, at his words, as I take my seat and then dig in. It does taste nice. The suggested spice mix works really well. It reminds me I should ask him about what he likes each flavouring for. We eat in slurpy silence for the next few minutes, enjoying the meal. It really is a universal truth that good food can make a shit day that little bit better. So, I didn't get a chance to ask earlier, how did things go on Belvos? Oh, it was really cool. The downtime was fun, but I really enjoyed the zero-grav training. The captain had us search for beacons in an asteroid field. The first time I had a chance to really move about weightlessly. The pack was good too. We coordinated well and came out on top. Calbeck slurps up some noodles as he listens, nodding as I go on. It was, well, it's hard to even explain. It felt so free, and it was also a bit scary, even though we're only in a training room. Well, I get that. I've always loved being in zero gravity. I even used to take my ship out to some distant spots and get out to lie on top of the ship, just floating. Whoa, that sounds amazing. Did you get in trouble for doing that? Calvex chuckles and looks a little embarrassed. Yeah, I got chewed out plenty of times, but I couldn't stop. It's nice to get away from everything for a while. He wistfully looks out of the window. I wonder if he's snuck out to do it since coming back to duty. I'd have to experience it myself someday. Do you think that... The room darkens as alerts ping through the house, and both of our sticks go off in tandem. I look at Calbex in shock, where his face steals over. With cybernetic eyes aglow as he reads the alert. He stands and I hurry to do the same. It's time. We're to get ready immediately. Your armor was delivered yesterday. It's in your room. Go. I waste no time sprinting up the stairs and into my room, hearing him follow behind and entering his own. It's happening. It's happening so fast. When I'd moped before, I hadn't paid attention to the boxes that sit on my desk. Any other time I'd be happy to carefully open them all and admire the gear. However, now is not the time for such ceremony. I tear into the packages like a feral beast, thanking all mercy that existed, that basic armour donning was a regular drill for pages. I step into the greaves first, admiring how the armour closes and fits automatically once in place, connecting to the smart mesh underneath, then start attaching the vambraces and pauldrons. Finally, the chest piece slots in. As the whole armour finalises the connections and pulls the seams together, I take a moment to appreciate the custom fit. This was made for me, to fit me and only me. I test a few movements and find it so much more flexible than the training kits. I have plenty of movement and it still feels rigid in the places it should. I'll put on the helmet as we get to the ship. Enough about me. I need to see to helping my knight into his armour. Since mine wasn't designed for ship interfacing, it isn't as complicated. I exit my room, about to knock on Calvex's door, but it's open. He's already got into the majority of the lower half of his armour. I still knock on the door as I enter. Calvex turns his head to look at me. For a moment there's a pointed look in his eye. I'm not sure if it's uncertainty or reluctance, but it gets replaced with steely determination as the moment passes. I don't say anything either. I just approach him and then start assisting him putting on the remainder of his armour. Since Calvex will be a pilot first and foremost, his armour, indeed all the cavalry armour, has auxiliary connectors for interfacing with their steeds. This means a more complex donning procedure. Calvex doesn't stop me from facilitating the process. The armour is more durable, and there are ports across various parts of it where cables attach. We work together in silence, all business. Apart from a singular grunt I slide in the pieces along his left side, there are no other sounds, save my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. As I finally get the last segment on, save for his helmet, I admire my knight, armour fully donned. He is truly impressive, exactly what you'd picture when thinking of the cavalry. I pull out my stick to initialise the sync, notice that his chest piece is dulled. Calvex finally speaks as he places a paw on my arm. Don't. His tone. It's more of a plea than an order. It's a shaking his paw on me. I think back to our first meal, to his claim of not connecting to me. He fears it. There's something I don't know, some event or trauma that I'm not privy to. I look him into his eyes. He's looking at me so sadly, so hesitantly. I can't. I just can't. He looks about ready to cry. I think back to what Fen was spitting at me just hours ago. Is this what he's trying to drill into me? This is what I have to do. This is the most important thing to do. Sir, Calvex, we have to. It's too dangerous. You're too important, and I want to. I have to. This could be the only real contribution I make, to save lives, to protect yours. I put my right hand on his chest piece and he flinches. I can tell from how his grip isn't rigid that he's conflicted about letting me. It's just... You don't understand how much of a burden. You shouldn't have to. I know I shouldn't have to. None of us should have to fight. But here we are. This is the choice we make. The choice I make. I reach out with my stick, maintaining my gaze with his for permission. He whines softly and then faintly nods. I touch it to his Aegis. After my stick beeps and pulses in response, I invert the stick and tap my own. Calvex's chest piece hums and glows as well. I'll protect you now. I swear I can take it. If you're worried about me, then just don't get hit, right? I force a smile to try to break the tension. Although Calvex does not smile back, he seems to resign himself to the connection. After picking up his helmet and carrying it carefully, I lead the way downstairs and then outside. A vehicle waits for us. Sitting in the back, I stare at Calvex's home as we slowly take off and ascend. We'll both be back soon. We will. The transport takes us swiftly into orbit, then around a single buoy before our destination appears. A cavalry dropship. I may not be obsessed like Maros, but wow, that is impressive. The outer hull is peppered with artillery cannons and other long-distance firepower. It's intimidating to approach. Underneath, with just some faint prominence venting, is the core of the dropship, a Dyson sphere. They're cultivated miniature stars, contained inside complex siphoning shells. Each of them pumps out enough energy to fuel the ship's entire operation, from construction, repairs, to collapse travel across star systems. Along the length I can see the long bays the siege ships will be launched from. Propelled by excess energy when we arrive, they'll literally be shot at the enemy. We pull up alongside the behemoth of a vessel, then enter one of the back hangars. We barely touch down before Calvex is up and moving out. I have to jog to keep up with him. Around us is support and auxiliary crew. Munitions are being loaded into weapon tubes. People shout out various system check orders. Everywhere I look, a flight of activity is underway, preparing us for the imminent deployment. Calvex heads into a corridor onto an express travelator. As tempting as it is to hold onto the rail and simply let it rocket us along and maintain pace with him. After we transition deep into the ship, we are finally diverted at the junction, exit the speedy walkway, then enter the loading bay. I see my night steed ship for the first time. Even reined into the launch position, the ship looks sleek. Eager, even. The steed ships always remind me of a lance, with the sharp, drill-like protrusions on the front. Using light energy to speed up and heavy to enhance the impact, the cavalry can literally pierce through the plague vessels to do insane damage. As we walk alongside it, my eyes scan the hull. Just above where the omnidirectional turrets would extend from is a name stamped across. Geetha. Gita? Calvex runs a gloved paw across the hull, giving it a pat like a faithful pet. Close, Gether. It's an old tradition, though we can discuss all that later, okay? Let's get me in. Two additional technical crew help me get Calvex mounted the first time. The side of the ship is fully rotatable and positionable cockpit, with thick cables that slot into Calvex's armour feeding into the large machine. Lupine Knights are famous for riding their steed ships with their saddle bent forward, giving the appearance of the riders being on all fours. Harkening back to their ancestral hunting routes, rather than being in the traditional upright position, led to noticeable improvement in response and manoeuvring times. In the intense dogfights, it could mean the difference between life and death. From lessons, piloting methods are constantly being improved and tweaked to offer any incremental benefit and ease. As Calvex goes through the startup sequence, panels and displays light up. His helmet, now in place, becomes awash with connection messages and outputs. The steed ships really are remarkable. Even in the vacuum of space, the myriad of sensors along the hull will take in the constant stream of data from every angle. This then feeds into the rider's armour directly, converting the data into sensory stimuli that the knights can react to as if experiencing it firsthand. This was found to be one of the best methods of staying ahead of the plague ships. With the ability to sense their surroundings in space in real time, the KAU fighters can react as fast, if not faster, than the plague. In earlier days, the delay between screen readout and response led to many awful losses. Now, we can keep up. The downside is the sheer volume of data being transmitted into the riders. The ships help, of course, by converting the data into a form the body can interpret speedily. However, it's often still too much and leads to sensory overload. I placed my hand over my chest. This was the original concept of the Aegis, a pressure valve, to bleed off the excess stimuli to a second party, to make it more manageable and to help ground the knight. It wasn't until the system was put into practice that its true potential was realised and was advanced to its current iteration. Now squires can save knights, and I plan to make sure Calbex remains in the sky. All systems linked here, sir. Reading's good. Feedback nominal. How's the sensory deluge? Oh, good. Never really forget the feeling after your first rodeo. Okay, Corwan, my squire. Time to join the others. His saddle retracts into the ship slowly. His visor is too reflective to make out his expression, but I give him a nod and step back. Good luck. Stay safe. I say it more for my own benefit. Or maybe as a prayer. Gether rotates and then lines up to the accelerator bay. Once we drop out of collapse travel, all excess momentum from the dropship will be transferred to these bays to shoot the steed ships into action. Turning, I make my way to a nearby elevator, and have to report to the bridge for Captain James to brief us. The bridge is a madhouse of activity, crew at various stations calling out readings, readying systems, and otherwise preparing us for imminent departure. Jays is situated in the middle of the hub, shouting orders left and right, using everyone their arms to point and direct the crew. Along the outer walkway the other squires. Far from Eric's, who is with his knight, the rest of my pack are there. I hurry over. Hey, Corwan. Zoria greets me, though, with none of her normal jovial demeanour. She's currently focused on Alex's armour, checking to ensure everything is on and functioning correctly. He'll then in turn check hers, so that means... fuck. Brute is currently hunched over the armoury packs, checking inventory and what has been assigned. Beyond the current case, which has 4 wolf packs inside, there are sword and shield cases. Default loadout. Makes sense given how we haven't been approved for anything more specific yet. I walk up to the squatting wolf just as he finishes with eclipse and stands. Squire Brute, let me do final checks. I try to keep a level head, but even the sight of him makes me want to punch him. It's only levied by the fact he looks serious. He simply stands upright, turns his back to me, then raises his arms. It's an invitation for me to do the check without a single sneer or comment. I'm quick, though thorough, with the inspection. I check for spaces in the armour or misconnected parts. As I go, I also use my stick to ensure the readings are nominal. His heart rate is up. That is more than understandable given the situation. He turns and I check the front. I confirm the Aegis is connected and synced. With a nod, I close the stick. We then reverse our positions. Brute's paws aren't gentle. He completes the examination with aggressive insistency, paws knocking and shaking me as he goes. Feels more like him testing the armour than checking it. As he also checks me with his stick, he gives me a curt, silent nod. I'm about to check the weapons, but he grasps me by the shoulder with both paws. Look him in the eyes as he drills into mine. We're gonna fucking get them. I'm going to destroy them. All of them. Don't slow me, any of us, down. He lets go and then moves away. All I can do is bend over the cases as the heat of anger creeps up my neck and cheeks, not wanting to rise to insufferable doubts. Are you okay, Corwan? Did Brute say something to you? Alex crouches down next to me, and noticed that he and Zoria had finished up their own checks. Yeah, I'm fine. Just Brute being his usual daisy-fresh self. Understood. He seems even more prickly than usual. It's been ever since the announcement. Alex pauses to look over at Brute. He's tapping the railing he's leaning over, focused on the movements and discussions of the crew below. I'll be honest. I recognise that rage in him. It'll be honest to reel him in if he tries to overextend. Despite what you all think of him, none of us want to lose Brute. A part of me would very much like to argue the point with Alex, and he's right. I might dislike Brute's attitude, but I'll still fight tooth and nail to keep him as safe as the rest of us. I grunt affirmatively to Alex. I busy myself with doing my own check and then take up my arsenal. Alex pats my shoulder as he stands before he leaves me to it. Once I calibrate my stick to the weapons and make sure the configurations of each are correct, I stand, feeling sufficiently cooled off. Zuri is doing a few test swings with the sword. As I watch her, she finishes up her drill and then sheathes the blade. If I have my arms cleared, I can use this well enough, though as Cyrox says, it's better to avoid them getting close enough to begin with. She looks at the wolf pack remaining for her. She huffs and wrinkles her nose. She picks it up after a moment, sinks to it and then slings it across her back. She looks at me with her ears down. We're going to be alright, aren't we, Corwan? We'll all come home safe, right? You'll help me if I can't shoot anything properly. It's the most nervous I've seen her. I reach over to take her paws in my hands and feel a slight tremble of her body travel down them. She's scared. Yeah, of course, Aria. We'll bring everyone back and you'll hit more than I will, I'm sure. I'll have your back, you got mine, right? I'm scared too. Brute's actions might have filled me with momentary anger, but I am afraid. It's real now. We'll soon see the plague and be fighting them. Zaria pulls me into a tight hug. We stay there for a minute, just taking in each other's strength. Her whiskers press into my cheek. I can smell the spices of her shampoo. She must have been showering right before we were called to action. It's only as the ship rumbles from deep below and various calls for pre-collapse measures are shouted out that she lets me go. Sorry. Yeah, we got this. We join the others. We assemble in front of Jays at their central position. Alright, squires, you look very nice in your new armour. We'll be jumping in a moment once my paddy here warms up. There, Butte will operate as a central point for all your knights. Jays flexes their arms and spreads them around with a flourish. In time, we'll train you to man Paddy's impressive long-range arsenal. This engagement will be shutting you down planet side. And you glad that you all experienced it earlier. Their grin is self-congratulatory. We're really going to land on the invaded world and support from there? The plague appeared in the Lavari system, targeted the only occupied world, Tutroxis. It's a claimed world made habitable 50 years ago. Therefore, all settlements have been designed with bunkers for sheltering the people safely in just such a scenario. Jays checks a horror screen as they read off the details. Air is chosen and locked in. Get down, set a trench up. Keep an eye out for any stragglers that try to deploy land units, and then watch us soar. Collapse jump in 10. All you be in pods, ready to drop in 5. March, squires! They bell out their last words. We turn sharply and then march out of the bridge. I wave quickly to Eric's as we go. He gives me a smile for Jay starts hollering again. He runs to follow their orders. Before I know it, I'm in my sign pod and ready. Alone, I fill the weight with taking deep and long breaths. We'll be there soon. It's been such a whirlwind I can barely keep track of everything that occurred in the last few hours, let alone days. In a few short moments, we'll travel via collapse and arrive right away. Maros always explained the KU travel system simply. He said that Exceed, which was travel between fixed points, was like being on a rail. It was a safer, mapped route that avoided systems and zones that could interfere with the transport. Collapse was different. Maros likened it to a folding a sheet of paper over on itself to make 2 points touch. Almost instantaneous travel. The difficulties came in the power needed to generate that level of spatial twisting. This is why dropships employ Dyson spheres as both engines and energy sources. The list of systems that use every part and type of siphoned power from the star is impressive and incredibly efficient. Munition parts manufacturing, which are essential for continuous engagements, atmospheric controls to keep us breathing, but also extended from the ship to prevent rapid decompression incidents. Speed of light conduits ferry this power all over the ship. Maros always gushed over how the ships were like entire ecosystems. And of course, in dire need, they could be used in last-ditch attacks against the plague, a decision that rested very heavily on every Knight Captain's shoulders. I'm not sure if I could make that choice, nor at NVJ's for that duty. Speaking of the captain, their voice comes in from the pod speaker. Alright, all stations listen up. We're about to jump into battle. Fresh blood trying to stain your new gear. Trust in each other and your training. Old hands, trying to embarrass me in front of the babes. Let's put on a good show. Knights of Lunar Unit, let's show these Raptor lot how it's done. All knights saddled and ready. Steeds are ready to go. Combined Chimera unit confirmed and ready. That's right, our packs are joining the remainder of the active Raptor packs. When that happens, a temporary unit formation becomes a Chimera for the time being. Collapse jump mark. In 5, 4. I take a long breath and hold it. Exhale on the mark, Corwan. 3, 2, 1. Mark! Exhale through grit teeth as everything around me shudders and strains. The exceed transport of being a train on rails, then collapses like being on a roller coaster. Feels like my very core is being twisted and bent in conflicting directions, while also being squeezed through the thinnest aperture. Then a rush, like water bursting through a dam and breaking free. I feel myself and the surroundings snap back to normal. I gulp in a breath and stare at the monitor as it flicks on, showing us the outside situation. It's them. Steed ships deployed. All crew engage. Scan the sector for more of them and get me a lock on the core ship. Brings it around the far side of Sutrox's moon. Squires, prepare for planetfall. It happens fast. Jays barks out orders. The ship's cannons fire and they strike into the swarm of small ships surrounding the larger core plague ship. The hairs on my neck and arms rise. I watch us manoeuvre around the planet's moon. Streaks of light and explosions come from our own side as the battery cannons find their targets. I try to keep track as night steeds fire or impact, blasting through entire clusters of plague. I feel a combination of awe and fear as our ships weave through the battlefield, grouping up and feinting the horde as they try to stop them. It's a dance, and one the knights are leading. I'm worried, but I place a hand on my chest. No pain yet, and the auxiliary feedback is giving me a gentle trickle of concentration and determination. Calbex is fine. He's fighting and he's in control. I try to calm myself, think positively, think about being brave and getting through this. The sharing of pain and stimuli is the goal. The Aegis did have an unpreventable and unintended part that had long become a cornerstone of knight and squire roles. It also shares emotions. I can feel what Calbex is feeling and vice versa. Remain calm for your knights. Make sure you hold hope and support in your heart. Let them know what they're fighting for and who they are protecting. Ground them. Swallow their fear, shoulder their doubt, embrace their uncertainty and return every question with certainty. Keep fighting. You can do it. We believe in you. And I do. Calbex can do this. Plague land activity scan complete. Negligible units deployed. Landing zones designated between settlements and harvesting sites. Clear shot lined up. Time to get your parts wet, squires. Stay safe. Firing on my mark. Right. There's still a duty to perform, and there are people that I can save. It's time, Corwan. Time to fight. Mark! Unlike our earlier fall where I felt a degree of exhilaration, now my stomach is filled with dreadful anticipation. There is no time. Before I can think more about it, the pod breaks through the clouds and I see the planet's surface below. I can immediately tell it's a new world. The land still has patches and sections where the foliage hasn't taken fully yet. The sections of woods are small and sporadic, though you can see the design and where in time great sweeping forests will exist. The earth that hasn't been claimed by the flora has a deep purple hue to it. From this vantage point I can make out some settlements, nestled like oases in the terrain. The landing destination is set. I read over the screens, checking on variations if any manual adjustments are needed. None. I look to the right and flick through the screen readings for plague activity. The display shows the scanned entities the dropship had tagged before we deployed. The pods do additional scans as well, in case of abnormal or smaller units the ship might have missed. There don't appear to be any more that have landed. A rapid response likely prevented it. That could change at a moment's notice. The pods are aiming to put squires between the plague and the shelters. Jays have split our packs up to protect each of these areas. Even if we only deter the advance, it's better to lose planetary matter than people. A beep sounds. A proximity alert flashes on the monitors, indicating that landing is imminent. I retract my hand to grip onto the supports. The alert stops a moment before the pod thuds as it hits the dirt. I clutch the handles tight to stop from being thrown about. The pod violently shudders before coming to a rest. I take a moment to do an additional scan. No point rushing in and being blindsided. Good. The plague is still a ways off. I activate the door release, my right hand resting on the hilt of my sword in case something slipped through the scan. When nothing strikes immediately, I move out of the hatch cautiously. Zaria's is the closest pod to mine. She's already out and removing excavator tools from the pod capsule. I join her, retrieving my own. The compartment on the hull pops open, giving me quick access. Here, Corwan, sink above my left. She calls me over. She chooses a position on the ground to start. Working together, we slot our pieces together, position the completed apparatus on the earth. She maintains watch as I use my stick to activate it. Beeping, the machine opens its segments, and a drill protrudes from below. With the word, starts boring into the ground. Across from us, Brute and Alex have linked theirs up too. With a quick interface between our sticks, the two machines set their parameters. I have to leap to one side. The first block flies out of the machine like a printer. Within a few minutes, they'll dig us a trench. Depending on what kind of plague appears, we'll use this for cover and return fire. I look up. The clouds are flashing green. The green storm descends again. Corwan! Corwan! No, not now. It's different now. It's not going to turn out like that. I'll stop it. We'll stop it. I skew my sword and shield before I pull out my wolf pack, clenching the grip and resetting my gaze on the horizon. Every rustle of movement from the tree line or flick of grass catches and holds my attention. Would have deployed miner units this early? We wait in silence as we keep watch. The flashes and the occasional rumble of thunderous explosions within the stratosphere are the only things punctuating the wait. Our fight might be a possibility. Each of us can feel the current fight going on above. A twinge here, a throb there. Every time I see one of them wince, I flinch as well, expecting the worst. Turns out having faith is not too easy after all, if I'm shook by this. Still, there are a few moments when a plague ship breaks through the clouds, diving down to the planet in an attempt to gather resources and then haul them back up. Each one is met with either a hail of gunfire or the welcome sight of a cavalry ship bursting through after them, destroying them before jetting back up out of view. Apart from those moments, everything is stilled anticipation. Brute, clearly, handles the weight the worst out of us all. His left leg taps, and he constantly fiddles with his firearm. He changes his grip and stance, reacting to every breath or noise someone makes as they shift. He stares down the open stretch of the woodland with such intensity that he's on the verge of bolting out of the trench and sprinting straight into the tree line at any moment. Watching him is putting me more on edge. I should say something about... Ah! Brute's bark makes us jolt. He stabs his whole right arm forward, pointing to the tops of some of the trees slightly further in. I'm not sure he spotted at first. Then a few start to sway. It's not the wind. No, it's more like something is pushing them aside. Those trees are thicker than I am tall. Whatever it is, it's big. Falling index, this planet shows nothing of that size. It's likely a plague unit. I expect a freight class, maybe a lumberjack. The shift in the trees suggests bigger. Alex opens his eyes after a moment. He confirmed the data using interface accessories, which glow in sequence from his ear to his tail. I have to ask him about those after this. Into the trench, then. We have the high ground. We can observe what creeps out and then attack. You too, Brute. Brute! I turn from stepping into the trench as he's a rear grabbing Brute by the arm. He stares at the trees, not moving but definitely straining against the hold. About to step back up to help the rear out before Brute huffs, turns, then quickly moves into the trench. He shoves past me and then, using the lift of the trench to keep his arm steady, takes aim. Through the helmet I can see him raise his hackles as he shuffles impatiently. He's trying to get comfortable with his wolf pack laid over the edge of the trench, ready to fire in an instant. Alex leans back from Brute's left side, giving me a look of concern. We don't need a loose cannon with an itchy trigger finger engaging before we coordinate. Brute, I know you want to shoot them, we're going to get them, right? But only when we agree to. Right? Brute? I ask. I don't want to reach out and touch him in his current state, but I move close enough to his eye flicking my direction, if only for a moment before refocusing forwards. I know. He's panting quickly, but slows as he growls out his response. Guess I'll have to take his word on it. I myself on his right as Zaria jumps down to my right. The three of us take similar positions to Brute, leaning over the top of the trench to take aim. With the angle we have, there's a clear line of sight down into the little valley. The trench is long enough that we can duck and move along if we need to reposition or take cover. We have the advantage. That could all change in an instant once we engage. Now we wait again. This time the rumble overhead intersects with the creaking of the trees, so whatever it is moves ever closer, still out of sight. Everything heightens as I focus, the weight of the fire on my grip, the pounding of my heart beat in anticipation, the smell of the meal Calbex and I had shared just a short while ago, as my breath fogs the helmet slightly. Then it appears. Merciful stones, it's a butcher. Stalking out of the final few trees, its numerous legs push and scuttle its bulbous body along with the effort. It's a worm-like aperture of whirring teeth-like parts, with tendrils and mandibles for funneling material into its more flexing-like antennae. A butcher. Unlike a lumberjack that harvests trees and out the floor material, the butcher is a fauna tissue scavenger, one of the deadliest classes of land plague. I can see why. It's huge. The added horrifying reality that we very much count as targetable material makes this an enemy we can't afford to take lightly. The people in the shelters nearby could be reaped too. If this thing discovers them, they'll all be massacred, even if the forces in orbit are driven away. We have to make sure that doesn't happen. What's the plan? If there were more of us, that thing's not going down easily. We can hear clearly through the helmet comms, despite the fact she's whispering. The butcher moves its head around as if picking up the scent of prey. Alex looks at Brute, who's clenching his jaw. Hope he can hear us. He hasn't moved yet. We'll take it from both sides, Zaria. Brute, use covering fire to keep it distracted and on guard. Corwan and I will take targeted shots when openings appear. Zaria, move further down the trench that way. I'll take the left. We nod as he talks and points down to where he and Zaria will go. Corwan, you stay next to Brute and weave between his shots. You're the best marksman we have, so I know you can do it. You okay with that, Brute? He tentatively places the paw on Brute's back. Brute finally blinks and then looks at Alex for clarity. Yeah, I heard you. Let's take this garbage disposal junk down. Gets us close to that rock there, we'll engage it up close. Flank it, avoid the mouth. Grip its fucking legs and then slaughter it. Despite his colourful description, it's good to see he's got his head in gear. We nod at the plan and start moving. I move a little down from Brute. Knowing how his arcs fired at the range, I want a little distance to focus properly. Alex and Zaria move away to their positions. I check my sword and loosen it from the sheath a little, just in case the butcher moves close suddenly. We got this. If I get to pay him back. Fuck it up. Right? Right, come on. Get ready already. Brute is muttering more to himself than to me. He flicks his attention observing the prowling plague, and Alex and Zaria signal they are now in their spots. I settle into my own position, slowly. The butcher still has not detected us. We have to make this count. Breathe. And aim. Alex's voice comes through the comms. Ready? On my mark. Commence. 3, 2, 1, engage. Arrgh! Brute's roar, along the first stream from his muzzle, fires down upon the butcher when he has time to rear its head at the sound while being pelted with his barrage. Yeah, you fucking take it, you cobbled-together shit heap. As I stare down the sights of the butcher, Zaria's shots start to impact his wavers, deciding what to do. The light shots aren't piercing its shell. They are landing, and clearly confuse it momentarily. One of his back legs cracks in the joint as Alex's shot strikes true. That gets its attention. The plague's head whips around where Alex's shot came from. Even though he's ducked into the trench, its head remains fixed on that location. Its mouth appendages flick out, as if tasting the air for his scent. Now's my chance. Bullseye. One of its mandibles flies off. It shakes its head, appearing hurt. My jubilation is short-lived as it lowers its body, then starts surging up the incline towards us, weaving in a serpentine fashion. Halt the line! Push it back! We all start firing. Its pattern movement is erratic to avoid concentrated fire, and our shots scatter around it without much success. Shit, it's going to be on us soon if we don't pin it down. I toggle the heavy and start shooting the ground ahead of where the butcher is going to be. If I can't hit it, I can maybe deter it and force it into a better pattern. Alex, help me funnel it. Brute, Zaria, blast it. Alex immediately picks up on my idea and lays down heavy fire to its opposing side. It works, somewhat. The weaving becomes less severe as the butcher dodges the impact and narrows its movement. That's it! Get the fucker pinned! Brute whoops as he concentrates his fire on the plague, switching between shots. Zaria's own barrage impacts its sides. Brute's lean over the edge of the trench more and more, but not the movement to yank him back. Still, it's working. We can really do this. Pieces of it shall blast off. 2, no 3, more legs shatter, making it scuttling less graceful. It's still closing the gap. Though hobbled it is, the butcher has enough momentum and legs to make it up the incline. In moments I'll be within striking range. Take a second to loosen my sword from its sheath. The benefit of melee combat is the plague react poorer than they do to range combat. Some strategies even call for it as the preferred method for taking them down. I guess the flaws and benefits of unpredictability are even more heavily displayed in the moment-by-moment changes and choices in the brawl. The downside is, well, this thing is fucking huge and it's a plague designed to target life forms. Meat. Us. It's more suited to up close and personal. Give up the fire. Get it limping before it reaches us. Hurry, be ready to engage with blade. Brute. I guess go feral. More legs. It needs to lose more legs. It's so close now. We need to incapacitate it so it can't turn as fast. I wriggle up and out in the trench, then lie flat on the ground. I just need a clear line. I can sense Brute react, though he doesn't make to stop me. He, and everything else, disappears as I focus and watch it get closer. Zaria's impacts are mostly being ignored, though some are hitting between the cracks we've made and it's jostling slightly. With Alex's continued effort, it is leaning askew, putting more weight into its left legs for stability. Breathe in. Hold it. Wait. There! I squeeze the trigger and send it burst. The heavy shots hum as they leave the barrel rocket towards my target. The butcher moves to avoid my shots, but a clean hit from Alex interrupts it. I watch as the 2 leg joints I shot at explode, then the whole thing topples and careens into the dirt. Yes! You fuck! Ha! Brute crows behind me. There isn't a further second of celebration afforded as the behemoth spasms and tries to right itself. It is still active and still very much a threat. Brute leaps up and out of the trench, sword drawn, shield forward, its feet impact close to my head. The others are scrambling up and forward too. Alex has his own sword poised like a fence as he moves around the plague, cautiously stalking it. Zaria's fist glows. She comes in from the right, clenching her own sword tightly. Her head is down, watching for the right moment. A wounded animal is dangerous. A plague that feels no pain, designed to consume and is injured. It's deadly. I start to push myself up, but Bruce just points his sword at me and flicks it back towards the trench. No, we'll take it from here. You aim and shoot when it's distracted. I'm not sure how I feel about being told to stay back. Was he insulting my close-range fighting or commending my firing? There isn't time. He turns back to his foe and then leaps forward, narrowly avoiding the limb aiming to grab and deposit him in its whirring maw. The butcher lashes out with tendrils and claws. The screech as they rake across shields or the thunderous thuds as they crash to the earth is terrifying. Any one could do serious damage. Even this injured, it's keeping us on the defensive. Brute is even keeping his shield up as it lashes out in all directions. With its thrashing in proximity, I find it harder to line up any shots. I only manage a pepper of light across it here and there, then move down our trench further to get a bit of distance. Gotcha! I pop out of the trench, fearing the worst. Instead, she's managed to catch one of the butcher's mouth tendrils in her right elbow and is holding firm, preventing it from turning more. The glow on her joints pulse deep with heavy energy as she both grips and crushes the appendage, holding tight. Now, Brute! Alex hollers from his other side, moving in for strikes. He stabs deep in between the plague's armour, while Brute takes it from the front, slashing across it with tremendous heavy blows. Plating gets shucked off with a screech, exposing the vulnerable inner components to Brute's continued onslaught. Its head being restricted by Zaria's grip gives me the opening I need. I take up a steady stance again and flick to heavy, levelling the sights. Oh yeah, get it, Corwan! 3 solid hits. Part of its faceplate, one of its mandibles, and the last clean inside the whirring blend of its mouth. It's taken some substantial damage now, which is good. The bad news is it's most definitely pissed. Shit, I can't hold it. Back up, lads. The butcher strains against Aria's hold and she's slipping. Brute and Alex reposition. Shields in front of Aria gives them just enough time to clear out before letting go. Aria leaps away, but not before the butcher swings her with its back portion, impacting her side with a sickening crunch. Aria! I scream into the comms. From my position I can't see her. All I can imagine is the worst. I want to run and check, but I have to keep point. Oh, I'm alright. A short pack's a wallop. Keep on it. The plague is turning slowly towards her to finish the job. Alex and Brute move into Harriet's sides, so they'll have to watch out as it lashes at them. No you don't. Get back here, you fucker. The butcher stops moving. The impact across its back cracks like overcooked nuts shattering open. It turns. Its head is staring right at me. Something happens. Inherent recognition? It shifts. Abrupt. How can it still move like that? Its fading legs and writhing body surge towards me. I dully hear the others in my helmet yelling. My heartbeat is louder. It's going to eat me. It's going to try to eat me? Fuck that. I ring up my weapon in a single fluid motion. Part of my mind feels like it's lagging behind the action, as if I'm moving through molasses. My desire is burning forth. Not this time! Right into its awful mouth. It writhes, halting its deadly approach. Got you! Now die! Brute rushes in, taking advantage of its faltering. He drives his sword into its underbelly, deep. Purple bursts around his blades as it finds its mark. It stops moving. With a groan, the heavy body of the butcher topples. It almost crushes Brute, but he manages to scamper clear just in time. We did it. We did it! Alex comes around the plague side as the rear clambers over part of its body, whooping. Oh yeah, now that's a workout and a half. Laughing, she jumps down. It quickly transforms into a hiss and then a soft wince. Alex moves over to check on her, but she waves at him not to bother. I'm okay, really. Took the blow on these boots and they absorbed most of the shock. It's winded, it's all. Really to get them approved. Feels much better being hands-on. She's beaming like a maniac. She flexes her arms and grins. My own mouth mirrors hers. We really did it, and all of us came out alive. I'm jubilant. Yeah, fuck you, slag. Worthless fucking pile of shit. Fuck yeah, fuck yeah. Brute's victory roar is only matched by the repeated stabs he makes into the plague corpse. No chance it's going to rise up unexpectedly for another round with him carving into it like that. Alex comes over and then pulls me into a hug. I return it earnestly. Corwan, you did marvellously. Truly wonderful shots. You simply must show me how you clean such amazing calls when next we're on the range. I can feel his body vibrating with happy chuffs as his tail coils around my legs entirely. Any time. I can't believe we did it. You all held your own up in his face. I don't know if I could have dodged it as well as you lot. I'm released from the hug and we observe the plague. Even a moving is a horror to behold. I'm awash with giddy success, but I also feel a wave of relief and pride flow over me. Not my own. I place a hand over the Aegis plate. Calvex must have felt our victory. I'm safe, big guy. You stay safe too. I'm brought back planetside by Brute's yell. It wasn't a battle cry or a victorious one. No, it's one of pure pain that sends an icy chill into the pit of my stomach. Brute! Zaria rushes over to his side. He's dropped his sword and is stooped over, his body shaking and convulsing. Alex and I hurry to him as well. Scanning surroundings, doesn't appear like a new threat has snuck up on us. Zaria looks at the two of us after her own examination, eyes wide. It's his Aegis. Coming closer, I can see his helmet fogging over with his breath as he spasms, body folding over. Shit, let's get him back to the trench. Alex moves to his left side and helps Zaria lift him by his arms to half-carry, half-drag Brute back to our dugout. I maintain watch as we retreat. Now would be an awful time if anything catches unawares. The woods, the meadow, no movement. I take a look at the skyline, still bristling with green flashes in the combat above. I haven't spotted any more ships descending. What the fuck is going on? Fuck! It's all right, Brute. Breathe. Stones be damned. Corwan, help me get his helmet off. I turn back to my pack. Brute is on the ground, leaning against the trench wall with Alex leaning beside him. As I go to assist Alex, the rig gives me a grim nod and swaps posts with me. She steps out of the trench to maintain watch. Coming closer, I can see Brute's Aegis glowing with activity. It's still receiving a signal. He's still taking on pain. That means Fen is still hurting. Something has happened to the commander. I assist Alex finding the clasp on Brute's helmet. He managed to release it and then pull it off of him. Brute gasping a fresh lungful of air as we do, his breath heavy and haggard. Tears streak his fur. It's frightening to see him like this. Hey, Brute, stay with us. You got this. You can do it. I mutter at him, not sure what else to say. He might be a red giant-sized prick, but I still hate seeing him in pain. I wish I could link my Aegis up and take some of it. I feel helpless. A fresh surge racks his body as he convulses again. He held up in training so well. Why the fuck is this devastating him now? Brute, focus on us. Focus on here, now. Don't let this consume you. Alex is clutching Brute's left arm, shaking him softly to try to rouse him from the pain spiral. He looks just as concerned as I am. I put off my helmet and then put it down next to me. I grab Brute's face, trying to get him to look at me. Come on, Brute. Don't you want to spit some insult at me? Hey, you got the killing blow on the butcher, didn't you? Didn't that feel good? Come on, Brute. Think of how great it'll feel to rub this in the others' faces. I'm rambling. Say anything I can think of. Brute needs a distraction. He needs to rise over the pain right now. But he can't. His breaths are laboured. Froth is forming the corners of his mouth. Merciful stars, he's burning up. He's caught in the transmission. He's going to go into Aegis shock at this rate. Brute could die. Fucking damn it. Alex is right. Brute's mind is wrapped up in the pain being sent to him. If he can't get through this, his body could shut down. Brute. Hey, Brute! Snap out of this. Think of anything else. Anything. Live, you utter asshole. You don't get to be such a dick and then go and die right away. You hear me? He doesn't. I don't think he does. He's shaking more, and his eyes are starting to roll back in his skull. Every time I shake him, it only keeps him on our side for a moment. What can I do? He's not listening. He needs something to separate him from the pain. Something real. Here, to keep him grounded. I can't slap him. More actual pain isn't going to help. He's just barely responding to my touch. Fuck, he's going to die in this ditch. Isn't there anything I can... Wait. Different stimuli? Maybe? Fuck it. I grab his face with both my hands and turn him to me. His eyes have rolled up into his skull. I shake him again, just enough for his eyes to temporarily focus on mine. Then I lean in and kiss him. Well, not much of a kiss. My panic is more slamming my face to his and our lips impacting. I hold him there for a moment, feeling and watching, seeing if it works. This is so stupid. Wait. His twitching stops. He breathes through his nose. It's hot against my cheek. His lips move against mine. I pull back. Did this insane idea actually work? The fuck? He croaks out and hiccups. You have to be kidding me. Alex grabs my shoulder and leans forward to look at Brute closely. Brute, are you with us? Brute lazily looks at Alex, drew on his muzzle as he pants for breath. What did... Why... Oh, fucking it hurts! He clenches his jaw again. The event isn't over. The pain is still surging through him. That was a moment of reprieve, for he seizing up again. Brute, focus. You need to focus on me, on us. Do I need to kiss you again, you prick? I'm trying to make a joke. This time Brute is the one who pushes his muzzle up to meet my lips. The action is too quick to react to. Once again I'm pressed against the wolf's face. His mouth is ajar as we kiss. Each new spasm of pain delivered to him, his breath hitches. Does he really need this? I return the kiss with more intention, stroking the underside of his jaw to offer some more concrete divergent stimulation. You're fucking insane! He breaks the kiss long enough to complain. A fresh attack urges him to return his mouth to mine. He's fervently engaging in it now. You aren't my first pick either, Brute. I break off the contact and try to observe him with positive signs. His eyes are locked with mine and his breathing is slowly calming, in between hitches when he spasms and groans. What's going on down there? Is Brute okay? Zaria calls over her shoulder, turning her head to steal a quick glance at the situation. She does a devil take with a slack jaw. Without saying another word, she forces her gaze back outwards. Corwan has come up with an innovative solution that appears to be assisting. Alex replies with a slight blush to his cheeks. I don't blame him. In all my training, I never heard of locking lips as a means to keep someone from pain overload. I swear if you tell anyone about this... I assume that's directed at me, but it probably includes all of us. Don't exactly want this on my record either. Keep the conversation going. He presses more of himself into me, the kisses intermingled with gasps and shudders. He's teetering. I don't know what's happening above with the knights, but Fen is still engaged with them. He's still being hurt and Brute is still wavering. I don't... You can't... Fuck, I don't even like you! The pain is still pulling him from the situation. Between ravaging and urgent kissing, his hips thrust against me enough to show that regardless of the situation, part of him is concentrating on this. I can't... it's too much. His jaw clenches again as he stops moving against me and instead shudders. His paws, that have gripped me firmly throughout our makeout session, start to let go as he sags back. I grab him, stop him falling away, and then shake him again. Hey! Don't go limp on me now! Brute, stay with me! He yelps with a fresh surge of pain, but he's still fading. It's not enough. It almost was, but he's still slipping back into the quagmire of the agony pushing through him. What else is there? What more can I... Hey, Brute, fuck me. His eyes almost roll back into his head, but he then zeroes in on mine. Fuck you. No, Brute. Oh, yes. A kiss was helping. Do more if you want. If it'll help, you're out to opposite stimulation. Do more. Can you? I swear I can feel Axe's mouth drop and hear Zaria's neck muscles creak as she turns to look at us. They don't matter. Only Brute's survival matters. Yeah, it's stupid. If I get court-martialed, so fucking be it. If any better idea to stop yourself dying, I'm all ears. Brute looks back at me incredulously. The moment continues in silence. His jaw moves wordlessly. You're fucking welcome, Brute. I pant out and he growls at me, like he's about to bite back a response. He swallows it and instead just shakes his head. What the actual... He isn't shuddering any more than an occasional tremor. I think Commander Fenn's situation must be better now, right? Quite a solution. Corwan, you really are I'm bewildered and amazed by your strategy. Alex is still looking out into the valley. I'm so glad that nothing started while Brute's situation was handled. I think it'd be prudent for our sakes if we keep this between us, don't you think? Brute pushes off me after that. He then starts rubbing the mess from his fur with pawfuls of dirt, keeping his head down and muttering back. Yeah, don't want any of this spread about, not a word, ever. Even bashful, his prickly side shows through. In this case, I agree. I may have said I'd take responsibility for this, but I certainly don't want to if I can help it. Zaria nods and keeps staring away. From her posture, I think she may be embarrassed as well, or flustered. I look up at the sky. The flashing has stopped. I wonder if that... Our sticks go off. I fumble to reach mine, but Alex is quick on relaying the message. It's from Captain Chase. The plague's been pushed to retreat. Knights are clearing to any remnants, but there've been no fatalities. We did it! As soon as it all started, it's over. Well, our part is. The planet still got hit. We arrived relatively fast, but I can't guess what has been taken from them. Recovery and additional defence measures will be sent in to help these people get back on their feet and restart their lives. But they're alive. They have their lives, and we helped. After shuffling my suit back on, I crawl up to the edge of the trench and look at the fallen butcher. We really stopped something awful from happening. Even with the ache in my rear, I can't help but feel amazing. It was all worth it. What about Fen? Brute pulled his own sticker and scrolled into the message log. His ship sustained some damage. He's returned to the dropship for medical care. He's alive, Brute. Brute deflates and keeps reading to confirm everything Zaria said. A pickup will be here soon. Let's get ready. All right, everyone. He turns to face me. I notice he's looking awkward. I guess he's still unsettled by what was done. He offers me his paw, though, and I take it. Let him pull me up and away from the trench. Thanks. No problem. He did good, Corwan. Really, unorthodox, and I would not wish this to become a regular means of action. But your quick thinking may have well saved Brute's life. Oh, yeah, thanks. I still don't know what I was thinking. Did well against the Butcher, too, don't forget. What bad luck we had to encounter one in our first engagement. We stare at it. Feels like hours ago that we fought it. It still doesn't seem real that we took it down, just the four of us. We watch it for a while longer, till Brute yells us to come help prep for pickup. We journey back to the dropship in quiet contemplation. Alex offers to complete the mission reporting as we go, accounting for our movements and strategy. I spend the entire time looking back at Eutroxis. I feel like I can see its scars, but it's not furrow. There are no broken continents, nor viewable damage, even though it's doubtlessly there. What little the plague had managed to scour and steal would still be missed. However, Eutroxis will recover. I allow myself to smile. As we put into the bay and then the transport opens, we are greeted by a very anxious bear. Eric's almost throws himself at us the moment we're in arm's reach. Oh God, guys, I'm so worried about you all, and... Whoa, slow down there, Eric's. We're okay. We're all okay. Are you? Eric takes a few sniffling breaths as he hugs us all, minus Brute, one by one. Yeah, I'm all right. It was so scary, though. Alex pats his back consolingly. We had quite the scare ourselves on the ground. I can only imagine how it was to engage the plague and swarm. Oh, I mean, yeah, that was scary, and I'm scared for you guys too. The scariest thing was all the shouting Jace was doing. Trying to follow their orders was so hard. I thought he was going to have a heart attack. There's a moment of silence between us before Zaria breaks it with a snort. Wait, you're more scared of Jace than the plague? Wow, Erix, I misjudged you. You're brave, in a weird way. Erix blushes brightly at that and waves his paws defensively. No, I'm not saying it wasn't scary. I'm super scared, but Jace is much more terrifying when they're shouting. They had this manic grin the whole time, even while their orders were so precise. The bear shivers, and I'm half in mind they had it worse than us. As the others recount our battle against the Butcher to Eric's, I walk deeper into the ship. I'm already paying attention to where Eric's is leading us until we reach a junction. The smell of medicinal fluids breaks my stride. Oh, Eric's, do we need to be checked for injuries? I don't think any of us suffered wounds. Well, Jay's told me to bring you all to be checked regardless because of the aftershock of the Aegis, and it's standard after any engagement. He looks apologetically at us before addressing Brute, who's been silent this whole time. Brute, Commander Fen asked to see you. As soon as you're back, he's in the recovery ward down there. Brute hurries down the hallway X gestures at. He disappears out of sight. To be honest, I do the same. I hope both of them are going to be alright. I might ask which room I should go to when I see him. Calvex is coming down the corridor towards us. He's unharmed. He's okay. I stop myself from sprinting to meet him, but I can't hold back my smile. He has an odd expression on his face. His arms move as he's going to hug me at first, before he turns them to his sides instead. Corwan, you're back. Yes, safe and sound. You too. His expression melts into actual relief as he smiles at me. Damn, he looks so young when he smiles. So we are. Well, I guess our first mission's a success then. Anything of note to report? My stomach leaps. I immediately think about what transpired in the trench, but I stammer past it. Oh, no. I mean, yes, we took on a butcher. Just the one, and then it was over. He stares at me strangely, just as fast sighs. He then moves closer to me. It might have been harrowing, but I feel I proved I can survive. I can fight and I can win. I want a thorough recounting of that. Butchers are savage opponents, and we can discuss things to do better or differently next time. But now we should clean up and prepare for a debriefing. After that, we can go home. Calbeck starts walking down the corridor, looking back when I don't immediately follow him. Home. He smiles again, so warm and inviting. Yeah, Corwan. Let's go back to our home. We both did well. My heart thumps. Take a few shaky steps before falling in line. Yeah, I want to go home. Together. There we go, the latest in Finite Space. And that was interesting to do because Calbex is now one of a small group of very special characters when I'm voicing him. I wasn't expecting that. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you think Brute's pain thing was sounding real, yeah. I get the feeling it's like having a level 10 cluster headache attack. Basically, the general description for that is imagine having a leg off without anaesthetic and you get a feeling of the pain. Yeah, it's nasty. I've been through it, so I actually feel bad for Brute for once in this. I know exactly what he's going through, and I prefer he didn't, or anyone come to that. But yeah, it's I think sometime in the new year we'll have more in Finite Space. We just had a new CG in this one. Well done to the team because they actually managed to upload the patch just a few hours before I recorded this. So nice going. And at some point I might do the deleted scene on Discord. I'm not sure yet. There's a whole chunk going on there. You can probably imagine what happened. But yes, I can't put it on YouTube. So coming up next weekend is Moonfire Seeker's Saga. We're at Chapter 3 there. During the week we'll have Far Beyond the World. I was going to have a bit recorded already, but all the technical issues last week meant everything's backed up. That will be Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere around there. I'm not quite sure when. And also tomorrow I will be recording something special for my patrons. It'll be made public later on in the year, maybe early next year. There's a patron-only video coming up as well. And speaking of my patrons, special thanks to all of them for supporting the channel. I really do appreciate you all. As always, I'd like to give a top mention to my Earth tier patrons: Andy Peng, Aaron Fox, Bastian, Bieka, Brian Hall, Copus Visser, Dissonance, Exact, Grizz, Alvis Mouse Productions, Ada Corval, Evan King, Kartek, Matt Kenya, Mara Cervantes, Mohammed Al-Zamel, Koob, Addy Bear, Welpers Need Coffee, Ara Amaterasu, Tiger Cub, Samuto, Spiderling, Rafu, and Omar. Thanks to them, and thanks to you for watching and liking and commenting and all that kind of stuff. It all helps these things get mentioned. And special thanks to the Infinite Space crew for doing such a good job. It's some amazing stuff visually in this one especially. And the writing's good, Bastian, don't worry. Until Far Beyond the World, thanks for watching and bye for now.